I remove like 30 people that I just don't care.
Yeah, you have to sometimes.
I just don't
man.
care what
have
you
to.
like. It's not that I don't care about you, but you don't interest me at all. Now we're back, season 2, episode 5, 2021. We're back in the new year. I appreciate you guys joining in. Appreciate you tuning in. 2020 ended abruptly, thankfully. 2021 has got off to an okay start, depending on who you are, depending on where you are. But I'm here. I'm not alone. We do have my one and only guy behind the camera, Simba in the cut.
Hey, how's it going?
Nice to see you. Well, I say nice to see you, but I mean for everyone else because no one else really knows. I don't know if people imagine that you're behind the camera or not. But and I've spoken to this about you as well. There have been people who messaged me since we started the podcast last year, talking about, oh, like your podcast is like it's great, like visually, like it looks professional, and I'm like, it looks professional. I'll take it like a new podcast. People expect it to look like.
Yeah,
to
like
look
amateur.
yeah. And I just like listen. They were telling me all about how it looks. I'm like, cool, but tell me what you think of the content. Like, people just keep giving me, no, it looks this, looks that. And I'm just like, hey, people don't see you, but you're the man, the plan, the man behind the cam. So
Yeah.
I appreciate you, and everyone else does clearly. So now you're doing a good job. Yeah. So you're always here. I've got you here today. So you will be my guest today, basically.
Yeah, just from behind the camera.
Just behind the camera.
Yeah. One of these days I'll be in the front once we can figure out someone else in these cameras.
We'll do it one day.
Yeah.
Your 2020, how was that in a nutshell?
It was a trip. 2020 was I don't know, man. 2020, I felt like everyone had there was the virus, and then there was just stuff that happened for people anyways, and it just added on top of that. And I feel like that's probably the best way to explain it. It's just there was stuff going on anyways, and then it was oh yeah, there's also a virus going on too.
No, it was super weird for me as well, because I think about 2020 is supposed to be the year of everything stops and everyone's plans have failed and whatnot. I feel like 2020 was one of my busiest years. I've done different shoots here and there, different people, one of them with you, different projects. I started the podcast. I also didn't get off a bad start in 2021. I have a little brother. Mad age gap, but it's cool. It's calm. I thought
like an uncle.
Yeah. I thought about this when he's my age. I'm gonna be 42. That's wild.
That's crazy.
When my little brother's my age, I'm gonna be 42. Yo, that's me individually.
How was it for you on a mental standpoint? Because obviously, I agree, yeah, it was my busiest year. But how did you find it mentally, just adjusting to everything?
As human beings, we feel like we have to adapt sometimes when things happen to us, and your 2020 starts and whatnot, and you're going about your business, and then there's this new virus. People are dying. Some people have people personally to them who are passing away, who are getting coronavirus. It's like something just comes out of nowhere and just slaps you in the face, and then you're like, wait a minute, what? And then you've got to adapt to that. So that for me personally, I had a rhythm going on in that first lockdown, so I was adapting, and then lockdown ends and you think, okay, we're over it now. I realize, I don't know if it's a human flaw, but when something would happen, we'd think, okay, in a few months this time we'll go back to normal. When the COVID happens, for this virus, whatever's going to go away, then lockdown happened. When lockdown happened, after lockdown ends, we'll go back to normal. Things just kept coming out of nowhere and kept hitting you and kept just coming out of nowhere. So it was like I was always up and down with it, as I think everyone was. Something happens, you adapt, you get in rhythm, and then you're cool with that, and then something else happens and you're like, oh. So it was a difficult year mentally, but I feel like the amount that I was working, like I said, it was my busiest year, I think, working, so that helped me out a bit, being productive and being busy and doing stuff. I feel like that's important. It's always important, so I won't complain really. I know that the beginning of the year hasn't been the best, especially for people in America, with the things that happened with the what did they call it? The Capitol. You know, you heard about that.
Yeah, the
Do you know what that building is for? I hear them call it the Capitol, but I have no idea what.
I think it's where Congress like comes together. So I think it's like
Parliament.
I might be talking out of my
Rubbish,
ass, but I
Is
think
it like the regular version of Parliament?
yeah, I think it's their like equivalent.
Fair,
of
we could be
Parliament.
wrong. If
No,
we're wrong,
let's
like
look this up.
no,
But that's my
don't kill us.
assumption. Yeah.
Nah, it makes sense. Yeah, no, that was just funny to hear, not in a good way, but when these things happen with me, now I just laugh.
It's almost like it's not funny as in like that's hilarious. It's like it's almost comedic that that's happening.
It's like, I just look at it and I'm like, bro, and I'm not on Twitter like that. I'm not active on Twitter, but I went on there just to see what people were saying, and I saw a picture where they had two pictures side by side, and it was, you know, the long stairs you walk up in outside the building. The first picture was when the Black Lives Matter marches were happening, and there was what did they call it? The something guard, National Guard. The picture on the left of Black Lives Matter had a bunch of National Guard officers just standing on the stairs, like ready, like they're ready. And then the other picture had just all of their what did they call them? People who marched the other day, who rioted.
Yeah.
The right picture showed them just running up through the building, and there was no National Guard. There was like minimal police officers. Like,
well, I guess they weren't prepared, right? Like at least with the Black Lives Matter protests, they were aware something was happening, but like I don't know if anyone really saw this coming, right? It was like I remember hearing about it. It was just like out of nowhere. I don't know.
Hey, I'm a big conspiracy guy, bro. Trump did that. Trump did a coup. He did that. He through 4 different connections, he told his people, hey.
Well, he got banned off Twitter recently.
I saw something. I think, did he get banned fully? I thought they just banned like 2 of his tweets or something.
No, they suspended his account. It's off.
It's a big move on Twitter.
Yeah.
Because I know he's active on there. Like, I don't follow him. I'm not on Twitter, but I heard like he tweets stuff on there.
He's super active.
I heard he did something. He said something like he's the one who told them, not told them, but he said something like we need to.
Yeah, I see. I don't go to Twitter either, man. So it's just like
that's bad. Come on, he's on Twitter, man.
Just hearing from the birds, basically. But I think it was something along the. I think the reason that they banned him, they stated, was like inciting violence. So I'm assuming.
That's what I'm saying. I think it was one of these tweets
that like was not helping.
And I read it as well, but I forgot what it was. But it was some of the tweets where he was sort of prompting like something needs to happen, like do something for me, and I was like, oh, so he really just told them to do it. When I see these things, like I just laugh, like because I'm just tired of it. It's the same thing when I like when Arsenal lose. Maybe an Arsenal fan, I just think it's funny and I move on in my life. Like, even if you take it like in our perspective now, so with the British government, I don't care. I just don't care. And I know some people that say that is stupid for me, which fair enough is a valid argument because I'm a British citizen and I may live here one day, so everything that happens concerns me. But I'm just like, I don't really care. And maybe, I just don't know, everything starts from school. I feel like if they educate people, especially people from areas that I grew up in, that I'm from, if they educate people about the government and laws and whatnot, we would grow up thinking that we are associated with what happens in the government. Because I think that's the mentality for a lot of people, like from like working class areas, is that's another world. Like, it doesn't concern us, the things that happen there. We don't see it like with our own eyes.
So you think it's a thing of like people don't invest time into what's happening because they don't they don't feel like their opinion matters?
Essentially, yeah. Like that's why I don't take any notice of that, is because I don't see anything in my own eyes happening or changing. Like, I don't remember the last time I've seen something effectively change me or where I'm from or anyone else around me, and it probably has, but maybe I just wasn't privy to the notice. But I don't see things happening, and I see that directly filtering down from the government or from something that someone's made to better me or where I'm from or anyone else like me. So it's been another world to me. Like if you see the news and you see the people in parliament and, you know, they're shouting at each other, talking about stuff. I'm just like, what's going on? And I feel like if they had educated certain people from school days about things, but did it in a way where it could be appealing to young kids, I feel like we would grow up with a different mentality towards it. And it just dawned on me, like, everything starts from school.
Yeah.
Everything starts from school. Like, there are so many things if they need to change school, man.
Yeah.
I don't know how school is like. I don't know how it is in today's time because I'm not there. But
school doesn't teach a lot of life skills. Like, they don't teach you a lot of things about like how to use money and like how to operate money, how to save stuff, just like the simple
I could have
things.
used that.
It's like the amount of people who are just like, the minute like they have to do taxes themselves, they're like, what do I do? Because like nobody ever teaches you that.
It's like I heard someone say a long time ago, school just teaches you to become a 9-to-5 person.
Yeah.
You know, you primary school, secondary school, you're in school 9 to 3, you're doing different subjects. You grow up to get to university level, you're majoring in one specific area, and then you get out of uni. Okay, you get a job now, and then you work to pay back people in uni. And it's like, I feel like that's very true. It's like school just educates you and raises you to go get a job and do 9 to 5, and then serve the government. And I feel like everything, if they change school, like I remember, and TV, school and TV, because I have a little cousin, and sometimes like, when I'm at like her house, I just like interact with her and I see what she does and how she is 8, I believe. She's 8 or 9. And I just sometimes watch her, see what she does, and everything that she does, I feel like it's from TV. Everything she does is from TV, and the people she watches on TV aren't 8, 9-year-olds; they're teenagers. So she's watching like, and all American shows, of course, that's what dominates TV. So she's watching American TV teenagers and the things that they go through, which is a reality. My God! But there was one time she was watching a show. This has got linked to the school. She was watching this BBC program, and it was a documentary film basically, and it was about this lady who came from, I think it was Trinidad. She came from Trinidad. She was telling her story basically when she was a young girl. And she was raised in Trinidad with her mom, her father, and like siblings, like 3 or 4 siblings. And she's telling a story about how she was raised there. And when she was a young girl, her dad got a job to come. This was set in like 80s or something, 70s, 80s. Her dad got a job to come to England and, you know, work here. So her whole family moved. But she was talking about her experience as a young girl in Trinidad, and how when they were in school, like they would, in the morning they would come to school and they would line up outside and they would sing the national anthem, I believe, but the British national anthem. So this was like in 70s, 80s. Imagine all the places that Britain would colonize over there in the Caribbean. They would come to school in the morning and they would line up and sing the British national anthem in their own country. And then they'd go to class and they learn about the British history and all the kings and queens. And they would get told, you know, Britain was like the motherland, like it was the, you know, where dreams happen and whatnot. And then, so now her father moves to England before her, so we can sit up and whatnot. And her and her siblings are so excited to go to England. Like, for the first time, they're going to go to England. Like, oh my gosh. And they moved to England. And then they moved to somewhere like, I don't think they moved to London, moved somewhere, not London, but somewhere else. But of course, she wasn't living what England was, but she was getting promoted, what was getting promoted to her.
Yeah.
So she talks about the lifestyle there, growing up in England and going to the school she went to and being like, you know, one of like 3 different black kids in the whole school. And that's something that I saw my little cousin watching, I thought, oh, she's actually somehow internalizing something here. And I asked her, like, what do you learn in school, like in your history class or whatever? And she told me stuff, but the general stuff, like the kings and I don't know what they learn in primary school nowadays, but the generic stuff that you would know that they listen to. Was it? I told her, asked her something like, what did they teach you, like, about, I don't know if I said black people, but I asked her like that side of it, like, what else did the teacher like about black people or whatever? And she couldn't really think of an answer. Like, she was like, I don't know, whatever. But that's something that I was happy. She's not just watching these like High School Musical kind of episodes with like teenagers falling in love and breaking up and that, which is just not reality.
No.
But if they started from school from the beginning, like, it would change so much. But they have their agenda, so
it always is. Like, every country that teaches their history will always just like, they'll just scrub out the parts that they don't want. It's like, it's a unanimous thing. Every country does it because, like, you know, they obviously, like, yeah, like you said, they have, obviously they're trying to promote a certain idea about the country.
I feel like there's something the way Britain do it, the way they portray Britain to the rest of the world. I feel like they do it just a bit differently.
I can't say it because obviously it's like one of those things where it's like I haven't studied history in another country, you know what I mean? So it's like I might go to America and it's like it's just this, it's like on that level too.
America's not really the best idea because America's so like universal. Like we grew up on American TV and American TV shows, but I think of how much the rest of the world knows about America, which is almost everything. Like, you get taught American history.
Yeah.
But how much does the rest of the world know about Britain? And Britain are so good. The UK is so good at letting everyone else around the world see what they want them to see about Britain, if that makes sense.
So yeah, I think it's become harder to do so in latter years. And I think that's like the case pretty much like with a lot of countries where it's like, I think like you think to like countries like China and stuff, I'm sure even they have like their history lessons are probably mad in their country. But
I was in my team, there was someone who's from South Korea, I believe. And the things he was telling me about like people that live in North Korea, I was like, what?
Yeah,
like,
because it's like they have like this thing that they're trying to promote, and like you have to think about it on like a really base level. With each country, right, they have things that they're trying to sustain. They want people to be paying taxes. They want people to believe in the systems out there, and they want people to like join the military. And it's like if you paint this picture of your country being this horrible thing, this terrible nation, there'll be no patriotism. Nobody will want to join the military. Nobody will have vested interests. So every country is going to want to be like, let's put out the best image that we can of our country. And it's like, you know, that affects a lot of things. So they have like obviously their own, like you said, their own agendas and own things that they're trying to get out of that.
Even the mandatory what did you call it? Mandatory like military.
And like in South Korea.
And even that is like, why do you? But a lot of different countries, especially Eastern European countries, I don't know if they still do it now, but they used to do it. Like everyone used to have to be mandatory to go enlist in the army. Like it's only of, like you said, of like the recent years, people are starting to understand that there's more to England, there's more to Britain than just the royal family and James Bond stuff and Downton Abbey.
Yeah.
Because the community of different communities are now making their own things and they're getting quite big. Different cultures. With America, they started that a while ago. So
I feel like even America has that problem, right? Where it's like the thing, like in like movies back in the day, anytime you see a British person, it would be like the most posh central London.
That's what I'm saying.
I was like, I don't know anybody that's like that.
This is what I'm saying, though. Britain was so good at that.
Yeah.
They were so good at that. Like if you 10 years ago, if you went to someone like in America said like, what comes to your head when you think of Britain, they say James Bond, they say the royal family, they just say the most posh British stuff. They say tea.
I bet everyone in America thought we lived in like castles or whatever, bro.
I'm telling you.
But like, what I'm saying is like, I wonder how much, and obviously like you said, in recent years our perceptions changed, but I wonder how much of like our perception of America was like completely wrong, because I feel like it's only recent things that have helped. Like I feel like Americans have only learned more about culture through like the music that we've been promoting and the type of shows that we're making. Oh, yo, they're like
there's black people. There's black people there. You do have a point, because I remember when I was younger. Of course, we grew up on American TV.
Yeah,
I thought everybody lived the way New York Times was. So we had the same American the same problem.
Yeah.
I feel like when you watch movies and you see New York Times, and I've never been to New York or anything or America, but you see New York Times one. And when I was growing up, I thought that's what America was. Everywhere was New York Times, and everywhere was the glass buildings.
Yeah.
And then I got older, and I thought that's the same thing of them thinking everywhere in London is like London Bridge and London Eye, and
Yeah, it's all like old Victorian buildings
Yeah.
and stuff.
And then I grew up and I thought, oh, of course it's not. They've got their projects, they've got their New Yorkers, their Brooklyns, their Queens, whatever.
Yeah.
But it is a lot. I think it was a lot harder for Americans because America's so big. We forget how big America
It's
is.
so diverse.
But here's the thing, I think even though America is so huge, like someone who lives like in, I don't know, Texas or like Wisconsin or whatever, is like they live a totally different life to someone else who lives in Atlanta or New York or whatever.
Yeah.
But both sides of the country, sort of, they're very good at having their own voice. So it's hard for America to control what happens, what comes out of there, because there's so many like different people they've got to watch and monetize and whatnot.
Yeah.
With Britain, you just have to control London.
Yeah.
You just have to control London. Like, not that many news, not that much. Like, I don't know. I live in London. I don't know what goes on that much outside of London.
I think it's because the numbers we have, right? Because London has like a massive amount of the population.
And it being the capital and whatnot.
Yeah.
But they just have to control London that much.
Yeah.
Like I think even in other places, in other cities in England, I think they get London news. They get London news as well as their own. We don't get news of anywhere else.
Nah, you don't be getting like Southwest Shire, whatever news.
Nah, you're not getting Swindon news, and that's what I'm saying. So all they really have to do is control London, control what comes out of London, and you control what goes out into the rest of the world.
Yeah.
That's why I feel like they've been so good at it over the past few years. Of course, that's changing now with the growth of hip hop and our community and our cultures.
Even with that, I feel like the media that comes out of the UK is so London centric. I feel like even now, the new perception people have of the UK is now slanted towards London.
Yeah, and they think they might hear a Scouse accent and be like, huh?
Yeah,
like,
what's that? Yeah.
But I guess that's just the next step, and then I heard someone say once, England's very multicultural, and I was just like, that's such an ignorant comment, because London's multicultural.
London is, yeah.
I'm pretty sure everywhere else is predominantly white people.
Yeah, well, statistically, 100. Yeah, definitely.
It's predominantly white people.
Yeah, I think even in London, I think statistically, I think black people in the UK is like 4%.
In the whole of UK?
I think so. I might be talking out my ass. I don't remember last time I read these statistics, but I think it's like 4% in the UK. And I live in like Essex now. And it's pretty much everywhere you go, it's going to be like predominantly white people, just based on like the sheer numbers.
So
but
people
London is very different in comparison.
People forget that.
Especially where we grew up.
Do you know what Akala is?
I feel like I've heard the
Akala.
name.
You probably recognize his face. He does a lot of things. I don't even know where to begin or what to call him, but he does rap. He has a rap career. He also writes books. He's also done a bunch of different talks.
Yeah, does he do like poetry type stuff as well?
He's done that.
Yeah.
He's got a book out called, I don't remember the name. Natives. He's got a book out called Natives. He talks about British culture and Caribbean culture and Black Britain, and how he entwines that with how he's grown up. And he talks about, I think he had a cousin or something, or uncle or something in New York that lived there, and he basically talked about he went over there for a holiday, and this was like in 2004 he went over there, so it was really early, and he went over there. He spoke to one of them, and they were looking at him like, "What? You're from London? No way! Like you guys got like you get like." What shocked him, or the way he explained it in the book, was that this person he was talking to from New York was like so fascinated the fact that Akala spoke how he spoke, and he wasn't what this guy would see of British people in general. And thank God that's changed. Yeah, because it can be annoying, it can be irritating, like when people think that we just all drink tea like this.
Yeah. And well, like a caricature is, right? Like I feel like when there's not enough, you're not getting enough like different sources of stuff from like a country, you build this caricature of what it is. Like for instance, one like media that I started listening to more of is like Korean music. And whenever people think Korean music, they just think like K-pop bands, BTS, and then you're like hearing these like hip hop artists, these rap artists, these R&B artists, and it like completely starts to change you're like, oh, hold up, they're just people.
It is it is changing. Like you forget that there's more than hip hop than just, you know, what we hear from London, what we hear from America.
Yeah.
There's other countries who do their own hip hop and their own rap. And they have been doing it for a while.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't really know why they haven't, like, why they're not so mainstream. Why they're not so, because I feel like around the world, people know UK hip hop artists. Around the world, you know American.
Yeah. Well, I think it's because they're working. I think it's like America has such a strong control over like media, right? So it's like, I feel like in order to really bounce off, you need to have connections in like America.
Yeah, America, I definitely understand, you know, they control, you know, the media, like they're the number one. Britain, I can understand sort of how UK artists have got so big, like around the world, they can tour around the world. But like, why haven't, like, I don't know why I haven't heard of like regularly hear music from, you know, a French UK artist or a German one or a Swedish one or whatever. And the same thing about, you know, people's perceptions of Britain, the same thing with Africa. Africa's perceptions because of music and because of that culture, it's massively changed as well. It's massively driven through West Africa, I think.
See that now, as somebody from the south of Africa, I'm like, all right, now everybody thinks like everyone thinks Africa is West Africa. It's like, nah, guys, there's other parts to it, you know.
Me too, because I'm East Africa, so, and I like, you know, West African music and
culture and all that. Yeah,
I love the music and but also I'm from East Africa, so the music is totally different. It's not the same 100%. Thing. But you know, then we had a problem now. People's perceptions that Africa is
just that.
It's just that.
Yeah. It's like a process thing, isn't it? It's like it'll work its way. But yeah, for now you just have to contend with that.
It's even I saw a tweet that said people talk about African culture. It's like, that doesn't make sense. You can't say African culture because within Africa there are
so many
tons of different cultures.
Yeah.
And even me, I'm guilty of that as well, of grouping. It's not my fault, it's just how I grew up. I'm guilty of grouping, merging like people together where they're totally different. Yeah. Like, you might not understand why someone who's, I don't know, from Pakistan might be offended if you call them Bangladesh or something.
Yeah.
They might be like, that's very offensive, but you're like,
you can't see the nuances in it. I think we like to simplify things, don't we?
You know, one thing that doesn't it baffles me, why we still call Asia. Like, how can you have, you know, the Pakistan, the India, the Bangladesh, and then you have China and South Korea and Vietnam, but they're all Asia.
Yeah, I usually try and like, now I've been like, I realized that a while back. So sometimes I'd be like, I'd say Asia a lot. I'm talking about like Korea and Japan. Yeah. I'm like, that's like a completely different continent.
I think like, who the hell thought of these names? Like, who the hell thought of grouping these names together? Like, it's not even like they're close. Like, they're so different. They're so different. Like,
it's so different
through everything, through food, the way they talk, the way they look, their movies, everything's so different. So I don't understand who saw that region and thought, oh, let's just all call them Asian people.
Yeah.
The same thing with it all comes in together when you think about controlling what we see on TV and controlling what we learn in school. It's all just translating that to social media, controlling what we're seeing on social media. And I haven't seen that big Netflix documentary. I forgot what it's called. The Social Dilemma.
Yeah, Social Dilemma.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I've watched it.
I haven't seen it yet, but
yeah,
I'm supposed to, but I just can't be.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was a bit over dramatized in some areas, but I think if you can look past like the over dramatization of some things, it does teach you a lot about like the systems and how social media works to keep you in there and how it like works against your brain and all that stuff. So it's actually quite fascinating.
I do learn because I don't have TikTok, but we know how big TikTok is and how huge that is. That's becoming one of that.
Yeah, actually, I did this thing because I do another podcast and we were like talking about TikTok, and I was just talking trash in it, and I was like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna use it for a month. So then next time
Don't tell me you're addicted to TikTok.
No. So I was like, next time I trash on TikTok, I have a reason. So I actually used it for a month, and yeah, I get it. I get how people can get stuck on there. So like, I'm pretty okay. So I knew I was pretty safe because I'm at a point where like I don't touch social media.
Yeah.
So I was like, I can measure this,
You can
but
navigate.
it's one of those social medias where it's like the algorithm so quickly figures out what you want to see, and it'll have you there. Like if you're using it like even like 15 minutes a day and you're liking one thing or there, every time you open up, you'll just be there for hours. And it's like 15-second videos and you don't see the time go and you'll just be gone. So
it's crazy.
It's crazy.
I was on it I wasn't on it, but I was next to someone who was on it. And this is the first time I'd really seen anyone even, like I'd ever seen TikTok on a phone because I don't have it, I don't use it. I just see it like videos here and there and whatever. And I was like on watching their phone and they got on TikTok and the videos came up straight away.
Yep.
And I was like,
starts playing.
I was like, wait a minute, is that how it opens up? And I was like, oh my gosh, like they don't even give you a second to think about. Boom, it shows the video straight away. You swipe up and down.
And on like Android, right? You have like the back button, so you can like back out of an app.
Yeah.
On TikTok, when you press the back button, no, it's there. Oh. When you press the back button, it gives you it refreshes to a new video, and then you have to press the back button twice to leave the application.
So you open up your app, the videos come up.
Ready playing.
You press back
to come out the application, and it just refreshes. It doesn't leave.
It refreshes the whole thing.
So it's basically, and like on Instagram when you scroll down,
do that. It does that basically.
It basically just shows you a new video. It's like, are you sure you want to leave though? Like, there's
one
more.
They're so good. They are so good at doing this. They are so good at doing this. Even there was something Instagram did that was similar to that. Or was it Snapchat? Was it one of them where they made an update? It was a long time ago. No, now it's normal. But they made an update where stories will just come up straight away. I don't know if it was Instagram or Snapchat, but you would click a story and the next one would play straight away, which is basically similar to what TikTok are doing with the videos.
Yeah.
Like they're so good at what they know, what they're doing. Yeah, even though I hate it now because I'm a bit older and I've navigated my way through that world a bit. Even now, I'm still on social media, Instagram and Snapchat, but it's like when I'm doing it, I'm aware of what I'm doing now.
Yeah,
as opposed to just blindly doing things. So even when I remember Snapchat, they made an update where they have a discovery page, the way Instagram has a discovery page, but they put that like underneath people's stories, and then underneath people's stories, you just have people's discovery page, like just random like famous like websites, like I don't know, like
BuzzFeed and all that stuff.
Yeah. And I remember when I hated it first of all when it first came up because it looked ugly, and then I was looking at it and I scrolled down to like I clicked one of them and I removed one of them and like I hid it, and I scrolled down and say, okay, where can I like remove all of these because I don't want to see it, I don't like it, I don't care about it as well. And I was scrolling and I was sitting there for about 5 minutes scrolling, and it wasn't ending. There was more and more and more. I was thinking, how many like...
Well, that's the thing I hate about them now. It's like the infinite scroll. There's not like an end point.
There's not... I was scrolling looking for an end point, like where can I go at the bottom and like press like delete all of these or something. And it just kept going and going and going. I thought, I'm really going to have to look at this every day.
Yeah.
And then you catch yourself clicking maybe, because we're human. So every now and then I might see something, I'm like, let me watch that. And I watch 2 things and then the next day everything is about that. And I'm like, like, I don't care.
It's not even just about like being human. It's like they know what you want. They're like, that video wasn't there by accident.
Yeah, I don't think it was. I don't think it was. But you click on one thing and then the rest of your thing is all that. Even on Snapchat recently, I just went through people I had on there and I deleted like 30 people.
Yeah.
I removed like 30 people that I just don't care.
Yeah, you have to sometimes.
I just don't care what you like. It's not that I don't care about you, but you don't interest me at all. So
yeah, there's no point. Like I don't need to be keeping
up with I don't need to. Yeah.
It's like I can just call you if it ever gets that
serious. These not people that I was cool.
Yeah.
So I removed about 30 people the other day off my Snap, and it felt good because even the other day, like yesterday, I got to a point where I had seen everybody's story. And I don't say that to mean there's so many people. I mean that as in there was really not really many people there that had viewed everyone's stories, and I was like, nah, I like that. And on Instagram now. I've come to the realization I don't think it could happen. But I'm looking for a way to delete the whole discovery page of Instagram
I just don't touch
off
it.
my app.
I don't even.
I'm
click
trying to
it.
delete the whole discovery page.
I don't, man. It's so bad with me, man. I have so given up on social media.
I know. I don't even know how you. I don't
so
even know how you work, because you'd think in this day and age, social media is where you get your work, where you get
see
your
that, like,
following,
That's
and
like the perception I always had, and my thing was like, and I'm like I've accepted to some degree by not using social media. I am giving myself a somewhat of a disadvantage,
Mm.
but I'm like, I'd rather spend the time I was going to waste scrolling just working, just getting work out and putting that out there. Because if it's good work, as long as if I come back and post it, if it's good work, it'll show for itself. But yeah, man, I just can't. Like, I stopped using Twitter at I think I didn't use it for like a good 7, 8 months this year. And then I was doing something, so I just came back on it, and I was like, so I literally unfollowed. I'm following like 5 people now on Twitter. My feed is just empty.
though it is like refreshing. Like I think of people that follow like 1,000 people, and I'm like, how do you do it? How do you do it? Especially with these people like you. Like I felt so happy years ago when I deleted Facebook.
Yeah.
I see people on Facebook now, and I'm like, you've got 800 friends, and I'm like, how do you Twitter and Facebook, I'm not on. Twitter, and I'm happy I'm not on Twitter because I feel like in some ways it's a lot dangerous than Instagram, because you just type, you don't need to post a picture, you just type.
Yeah.
And put it out.
Well, Twitter is really bad because it feeds on like anger. Like, it feeds on like bad news and stuff, and everybody, like, we hate it, but we get really drawn in if like something bad is happening.
What is it though? Like, what is it that happens to you where you become that person who you feel really strongly about something and you just start typing a tweet on your phone to put it out?
Well, I don't even think it's
because that's in no way, shape, or form is that me. Like, I think about all the times I do like go on these, long streams on Twitter and Instagram, and I see people's comments, because every now and then I like to go do that just to see what people are saying. And I might see someone say something, and I'm like, that's super funny, or that's really dumb. Like, how can this person think like that? But not at all do I become, it doesn't at all for a second, but I think in my head, let me type to let this person know that.
Yeah, how I feel.
Like, I don't get, like, I tried to put my finger on what is it about.
Yeah.
Why people do it, but I think there could be many reasons.
I think one of the big ones is like, one thing that social media has done, I think, is made us think we need to share a lot more than we do. I feel like we need to share like a lot more. If you use Twitter more regularly, you start to think that just sharing your almost every thought is just like a normal thing. It's like, oh, that thing happened, I have to say something about it.
I remember I was like that, but when I was like a kid, and I'm so thankful that I've been able to deactivate all my old Facebook accounts, because the statuses I used to put up on Facebook when I was like year 7, year 8, year 9. Oh my gosh! Like, I remember like a couple years ago when I did go back through them. I had like 2 Facebook accounts, and I had 1 Twitter account, but I didn't really use a Twitter account.
Yeah.
But the ones on Facebook, like the statuses when I go back through them, I'm like, oh my gosh! Thank God I found these passwords and I deactivated these accounts.
For real.
Because I would have like posted dumbest stuff.
Low key, man, I wish I could just go back to just look and scroll through my feed and like see everyone post from like year 9, year 10 Facebook. So that was you'd have such a good time just scrolling.
It would be funny, but I don't know, maybe it's just me, but the things that I posted, I'm like, I thank God that I've deleted them all and removed them all, because when I'm reading them back now, I understand when you hear people like celebrities now when they get pulled up a tweet from 2012 and that happens. When I saw my old Facebook statuses, I said, okay, I understand now.
Yeah,
I understand now, because some of them borderline were racist. They were borderline, they were super offensive. Some of them were just random. I told a story about a cat once. I don't know why I told a story, and at the end of the story, the cat died. And I was just like,
oh man, that's great.
And I'm reading this, like, this was a couple years ago. I went back through it, and I'm just like, I don't know what cat this was as well, because I've never had it. I've never generally.
You just felt passionate about
Generally,
cat
I
one
was
day.
reading this back a couple years ago, thinking, what cat was
Where
this?
did this
Because
come from? Yeah.
I don't have it. I've never had a cat. I've never been mad close to a family who's had a cat. I was like, what cat am I talking about? And I was just like, thank God. That whole thing of, you know, feeling like you need to share and people
everything.
want to see this. Thank
Yeah.
God I passed that.
That's safe.
Years
But
ago.
some people don't pass that, man. Some people don't pass that.
But like the pettiness in me, the pettiness in me wanted to send her a picture and be like, I'm cool.